please. I'm the next, okay. So my topic, I will be presenting more of a kind of summary of my research that is still work in progress. I started it as questionnaires and semi-structured interviews of my college students who are already practicing educators or students that will be educators in the 6 months or so. And also the research extrapolated to other schools, where I have friends or where I've observed children, and they distributed among their peers. And then it expanded to EPAL, where we could have some reflections of people from overseas or other parts of the country, and it made a difference to know like how people think in other places, not in New York area, Eastern area. The idea that science is far away from moral values or character education or philosophy is still existing. This idea is still existing as per my research. A lot of science educators don't feel comfortable talking about science and values. They want to talk about strict facts. A lot of science educators do not want to take this responsibility. They think it's not their job to do it. It's somebody else's job to do it. Although general educators, as per my research, more than 50% of general educators agree that in the science classroom we should give examples of how we have to behave responsibly toward the society. But science educators were in the minority, the ones that said that yes, values have something to do with science. So it was interesting. That was a revelation for me, because I thought always that coming from physician profession, I always felt responsible. I always felt loyal towards my patients. And then when I had to deal with insurance companies, and they were educating me that I have to be loyal to the society, and I have to be loyal to scarce resource society, and I have to consider those things. I have to be the one that saying, yes, this person might not need it because this society will lose that resource. I would rather give it to somebody else. I didn't want to take that responsibility. I didn't like it. So in a sense, yeah, different codes of ethics of different professions kind of push on you, I feel. They are codes of what is right thing to do for their particular group or for their particular understanding of their profession, but not really have a coherent view on what the ethics are about. It's not universal what the ethics codes are. For different professions, it's different. As a physician, I'm loyal to my patient. As a business major, because I did the MBA in healthcare administration, they taught me that I have to be loyal to my organization. When I read about the BP oil spill and how people were disgusted about how the CEO was thinking about having, good life and having a vacation finally. And in the business circles, they thought that this is nonsense. The CEO has the right to wish for good vacation, to have that wish. He doesn't have to think about his company all the time, 24 hours a day. So what I was thinking that because we're pushing the codes of ethics on people at the time when they are already mature, but they already developed as people, as human beings, it's very difficult for them to integrate it as their own. But when we teach children from kindergarten and on about the values and ethics and play those moral games and all that, and it makes it make it interactive. We're introducing ethics without saying really we're teaching ethics. We're introducing those topics, and I thought that I agreed with David Shapiro, who wrote in the 90s that teaching ethics inside out is the way to go in the science classroom and non-science classroom. He suggested that, he gave examples, you know, so it's not just talk for the reason of the talk. He suggested that we should introduce, through the kindergarten and on, through K12 classroom, we should introduce learning what the prisoner's dilemma is, and let children to decide, you know, how the cooperation will bring you up, and and thinking only about yourself will pull you down. He suggested to do the moral games, you know, through the science, you know, science education classrooms and non-science education classrooms. So he gave an examples, you know, of how we should deal with this issue. Also, I wanted to mention something about the neuroscience research that tells us, you know, actually right now it's going on in Yale, and this neuroscience research shows that children or toddlers, you know, so 2, 3, 4 years old, already have their capacity for morality and for what is right, what is wrong, you know, to find out who is a good guy, who's a bad guy on their level, you know. So we are not talking about Holberg's levels when we have to wait until they later develop. We have to go to those 2, 3, 4-year-old people and build their character. We don't have to call it character education. We can call it anything. But as soon as we introduce those talks, we don't have to give them the answer how to behave, but we have to introduce the possibility of talking about it, bringing up those ideas, because not everybody is comfortable talking about ethical issues. We distributed some questionnaires in some public schools in New York, and for 5th graders, 6th graders, and 4th graders, and those are people already kind of like semi-developed and somewhere in school, and they knew about ethics. They knew like this is right and this is wrong, but that was about it. That's all they knew about ethics. BP guys are bad, and you know, and fishermen are good, you know, or you know, somebody that kill is bad, and you know, so they have very primitive understanding of what ethics is. And when you bring the environmental issues, you know, the issues of protecting animals, you know, who would speak for animals? Who would speak for animals? Do you have a pet? Yes, I have a pet. Would you speak for your pet? Yes, the people that had pets, they seem like we're more likely to stand behind their pets and protect their rights. But people that don't have pets, they don't want the pets poop on their lawns, and they don't want the pets eat their grass, and they don't want somebody's pets, you know, invading their privacy, they call. They actually wrote in the open, you know, and the questions, you know, the answers were, I don't want somebody invade my privacy. So, and most of the cases, people were not up to talking about it. They were putting their ideas on the paper, most of them. They didn't admit, most of them didn't admit the answers, but to talk about it, it took like a lot of time and effort, and maybe 10% of children were able to talk about those issues. So I probably don't have, Victoria, do you have more time or not?
2 more minutes.
Okay. All right, so what I wanted to say that science is very close to ethics, more close than we think about it, because science is based on trust. Science is based on trust of one researcher towards another researcher that he would report his data properly. Science is based on trust of us believing that researcher, that, you know, giving us the endpoint, you know, research. Science believes on trust between people, and trust between people is a social issue, is an ethical issue. It's an issue of ethics. When we are making a contract, you know, with, you know, at work, and we are researchers, we made a contract that we will be truthful. We will be truthful. We will be doing everything that we're supposed to do. in the lab or wherever we do our research, or in the library. So, so that's also something that relates to ethics. Protection of the environment, protection of human being. All these questions, we don't have the answers yet, but as soon as we will be talking about it in the science classroom and bringing like life examples into the ethics sphere, then our children will understand that this is a part of life. This is just two sides of life that is one whole. So that's what I wanted to say. I don't have much time to present my the results of my research, but it will be published, and by the time it's published, I will summarize all the data.